Hi guys, welcome to Twin Perspective. I'm Joe, and tonight I'm going to be telling you the Emmy nominations for 2018 for the third season of Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks, presented on Showtime in 2018, was called The Return, later released on DVD as simply Season 3. The Emmy nominations came out July the 12th, and I am early in the morning, July 13th. I'm going to be giving you guys a quick video breaking down which awards it was nominated for. So, I had hoped, and I had predicted in my series thoughts for Twin Peaks to Return, the final series thoughts, that Twin Peaks could potentially be nominated for up to 10. I figured somewhere between 7 and 10. Now, I thought if it got at least 5 Emmy nominations or more, that Showtime would recognize this and be more prone to do something. Now, they say they want to do something else, but I think with more than 5 Emmy nominations, they'd be motivated in other ways. And the half-empty part of me was thinking it would get snubbed, maybe get 2 or 3 at the most. But to my delight, and the best news, I think, is Twin Peaks has been nominated for 9 Emmy Awards for 2018. 9, that's pretty good. The first season of Twin Peaks had 13 nominations. The second season, I believe, only had 4 Emmy nominations. Now, Twin Peaks, the first season, had 13 nominations, and it only won 2. And it wasn't for any of the directing or acting. It was for costume design and editing. So, this year, the bad news is that the shoo-in nomination that we all figured was Kyle MacLachlan as lead actor in a limited series or made-for-TV movie, and Kyle did not get recognized. Now, the rumor in the Twin Peaksville around the community is that there was a screening for a lot of people for episode part 18, but that wasn't officially submitted to the Emmys for consideration. It's just that a lot of people saw it, part 18. The official submissions were part 8 and part 16. Now, I don't know if they were allowed to submit more than 2 episodes, but I would figure if they could, they would have. So I'm assuming if those were the only 2 they submitted, part 8 and part 16, and that's the only 2 that they could only submit to. Now, part 8 is a given. Part 8 is the ultimate visually stunning, technically beautiful episode. Something that you rarely see on television, something that artistic and that accomplished artistically. And you got to figure, if I was in control of it, definitely part 8 would have been submitted. Now, my belief is the reason part 16 was chosen was because Kyle MacLachlan plays Cooper again in the real world. And after having watched 15 hours of it, you get to part 16 and seeing real Cooper again is pretty good in the real world. But I don't know if it would impact just a regular viewer watching it cold. We see the nuances and how great the performance is, how he became Cooper after watching him be Mr. C and Dougie and Cooper from Beyond. So we recognize it's good acting, but I don't think it was the best episode to submit if you're trying to get the Emmys attention for Kyle as a lead actor. Now, He only appeared in the very beginning of Part 8 as Mr. C, and that was it for Kyle in that episode. So my belief is the reason 16 was chosen was because it did feature quite a bit of the supporting cast. So I figure it was kind of a fair bone throw to give all of the players in Twin Peaks a shot, just as much as all of these players in the world that was created. And it's hard to represent everybody in just one episode. I mean, you pick 16 and submit it, and you can forget about the Emmys seeing Matthew Lillard, and stuff like that. I believe 16 had a good heaping dose of Chantal and Hutch. So Tim Roth and Jennifer Jason Leigh, probably were considered. I believe Kyle only played Mr. C for the very beginning when his son burns up on the rock, and then we see Cooper wake up from his coma. So no real Dougie for the Emmys to look at all, which is really weird because if you watch the show, Kyle played Dougie for the majority of it. So no Kyle MacLachlan for lead actor. And because this Part 16 was submitted, even though lots of people were featured, Laura Dern had her scene where she talks about the rape, and then we discover she's a tulpa. She had that moment. Naomi Watts had a moment in Part 16 where, Cooper wakes up and there's this realization that he's cognitive, and then the goodbye scene in the casino, really touching. He had the Mitchum brothers there. They were able to show their stuff, and of course Don Murray. And you also had Miguel Ferrer and David Lynch had a few moments, so I can see why this was chosen. But if you really wanted to win the Emmys over, you could have picked different episodes. Naomi Watts was brilliant in Part 6, and in that one Kyle played Dougie for about the first 17 minutes of it, and it was brilliant. Even though Dougie rubbed people the wrong way, Kyle was brilliant in the part, and that particular episode, Part 6, when the cop brings him home from the statue, and the picture is discovered of Jade, and then Dougie has to go upstairs and tell Sonny Jim goodnight, and they play with the clapper, and Naomi Watts has her phone call scene, and then later on she confronts the people and pays them, and that was, her Emmy moment. I think if that episode, Part 6, would have been submitted, Kyle and Naomi would have been considered. That's my opinion. But you can go in different episodes and pick different ones for different players. Laura Dern, when in Part 7, that was probably her best moment. Was it Part 7 or Part 4? You can go to Part 11 if you want to get to Mitchum Brothers, that classic scene at the end, and talk about building up the ambiance in the end in the restaurant with the music and yeah. That episode could have been recognized for a lot of things too. Then you're talking about Jim Belushi and Robert Knepper. So as it is, they submitted 16. No Kyle for lead actor. No lead actress nomination. No supporting actress nomination. No supporting actor nomination. However, Part 8 did it. It was recognized for all the technical brilliance of it. And I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of the 9 Emmy nominations. Starting with Outstanding Directing in a Limited Series or Movie. David Lynch, Twin Peaks. It's going to go up against the assassination of Gianni Versace, American Crime Story. The assassination of Gianni Versace is nominated for an insane amount of awards, including 6 acting awards, and they don't even have a lead actress nomination. So it's pretty much 6 acting nominations within 3 awards, including 3 supporting acting. one actor and two supporting actor or supporting actress. Now, 6 nominations from one show in acting categories, that's a lot. I figured Twin Peaks, if the Emmys would have watched the whole thing, maybe Twin Peaks could have got recognized. Because you've got a lot of great performances in that show. Not just Naomi Watts and Laura Dern, but Eamon Farron and Tom Sizemore. And Matthew Lillard had his moments. And, and David Lynch, of course, who took home the Saturn Award for acting. He's nominated for an Emmy again. He did not win. He was nominated for 2 Emmys for the first season and for directing, and he didn't win either one. And we're talking about a man that chose to film his actors perform and speak backwards and then play the film in reverse. If that doesn't deserve the Emmy for Best Directing on television, I don't know what does. But the Emmys back then had their head up their ass, and I'm thinking with Part 8, David Lynch should be a shoo-in for Best Director. He's going up against The Assassination of Gianni Versace. That's Ryan Murphy. He's going up against Barry Levinson, who directed Paterno. He's going up against Edward Berger for Patrick Melrose. Patrick Melrose was on Showtime. Scott Frank directed Godless. David Laveau and Alex Rudzinski for Jesus Christ Superstar. And Craig Zisk for The Looming Tower. Admittedly, I haven't seen anything else on this list except for Twin Peaks. But I know in my heart of hearts that what David Lynch accomplished as a director for Part 8 of Twin Peaks is artistically an endeavor that had to be recognized, and it should win. I think an accomplishment like that by a film director on television should be recognized. We'll see. The next Emmy that Twin Peaks was nominated for is Outstanding Writing in a Limited Series or Movie. Outstanding Writing. Now, there wasn't much dialogue in Part 8. Part 16 was pretty clever. And I think just the nostalgia of it all, Twin Peaks, they were nominated before for the series as writers, and they're nominated again. Twin Peaks is going to go up against The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Patrick Melrose, Godless, American Vandal, and USS Callister. That's an episode of Black Mirror. So that's Outstanding Writing in a Limited Series. Next nomination is Outstanding Production Design. Pretty good. For a narrative contemporary program 1 hour or longer, Twin Peaks is nominated, along with 2 episodes from Handmaid's Tale, an episode of Ozark, and an episode of American Horror Story Cult. Now, every time these nominations become episode specific, it's always Part 8 for Twin Peaks. So that's production design. They're nominated for Outstanding Cinematography in a Limited Series or Movie. Peter Deming, great job with Part 8. It's going up against The Alienist, Godless, USS Callister, Genius, Picasso, that's from, I think, Nat Geo, and Fahrenheit 451. That was cinematography nominations. Twin Peaks is also nominated for Outstanding Hairstyling. I guess they saw Senorita Dido and was like, ooh, hey. And then they saw the kids in the 50s later on. Hey, all right. So Outstanding Hairstyling. Twin Peaks going up against The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Godless, American Horror Story Cult, Genius, Picasso, and The Last Tycoon. All right, Twin Peaks was also nominated for Outstanding Non-Prosthetic Makeup for a limited series or movie. Non-prosthetic makeup. Now, the prosthetic makeup in Twin Peaks was pretty good too, but it wasn't nominated. But for just your basic makeup, so hair and makeup, it's nominated for hair and makeup. For makeup, Twin Peaks goes against the assassination of Gianni Versace, American Horror Story Cult, Genius Picasso, The Last Tycoon. Twin Peaks is also nominated for Best Editing, Outstanding Single Camera Picture Editing for a limited series or movie. Twin Peaks is going up against the USS Callister and 3 episodes from the assassination of Gianni Versace. Wow. And the final 2 categories are for sound. Outstanding sound mixing in a limited series or movie. Twin Peaks going up against the assassination of Giovanni Risby. Gianni Versace, Jesus. Waco, Genius Picasso, and Fahrenheit 451. The last category. That's so funny. Outstanding sound editing. So it was sound mixing and now sound editing. Twin Peaks going up against the USS Callister, Waco, Godless, American Horror Story Cult, and Fahrenheit 451. Wow. That was just about the only category Twin Peaks is in that didn't have the assassination attempt on Giovanni Risby. So there you go. I hope this video wasn't too long and giving you guys exactly what you needed to hear. 9 nominations: Best Direction, Best Writing, Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best Hair, Best Makeup, Best Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Sound Editing. That's 9. So that's it for the nominations for Twin Peaks. Now I'm just going to talk about the categories they could have been nominated for, but weren't. Outstanding Limited Series or Movie. The nominations are The Alienist, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, American Crime Story, Genius, Picasso, Godless, and Patrick Melrose, Showtime. I believe that if Twin Peaks were in this category, it would probably take the place of either Patrick Melrose or Genius Picasso. That's my opinion. Outstanding Lead Actor in a Limited Series or Movie could have been Kyle. Your nominees are Antonio Banderas for Genius Picasso, Darren Criss for The Assassination of Giovanni Risby, Benedict Cumberbatch for Patrick Melrose, Jeff Daniels for The Looming Tower, John Legend for Jesus Christ Superstar, live in concert. And who doesn't want to see Jesus live in concert? And Jesse Plemons for USS Callister. That's the Black Mirror episode. Pretty good episode. One of my favorites. I noticed his performance when I was watching it, and I'm here to tell you that if Kyle MacLachlan were considered for Best Lead Actor, he would probably take the place of Jesse Plemons or John Legend, even though he may have been a legend as whatever he did in Jesus Christ. Did he play Christ? I don't know. I didn't see it. So there you go. That's my opinion on the matter. Outstanding Lead Actress, Limited Series or Movie. I don't know if Twin Peaks had anybody that would be considered lead actress. Naomi Watts or Laura Dern, but probably not. However, Laura Dern is nominated in this category for The Tale. And she's going up against Sarah Paulson for American Horror Story Cult, who's probably the odds-on favorite here. And I'm kind of leaning towards Laura Dern to win this one, because she's an Emmy darling. That's lead actress. Now, outstanding supporting actress in a limited series is where I would expect Naomi Watts or Laura Dern to fall in. And the nominees are Sarah Bareilles for Jesus Christ Superstar, live in concert, Jesus Christ. Penelope Cruz for The Assassination of Giovanni Ribisi. Judith Light for The Assassination of the criminal justice system. Adina Porter for American Horror Story Cult. Merritt Weaver for Godless. And Letitia Wright for Black Museum, which is a Black Mirror episode. That was good too, and she was really good in that. So I don't know who I would have to take out to put Naomi Watts or Laura Dern. All I'm going to say is if Part 6 would have been submitted, Naomi Watts would be on this list. No doubt about it. That's the way it is. Outstanding supporting actor in a limited series or movie. Now, we may have differences on who qualified for this category for Twin Peaks. David Lynch won one already. So I believe if they would consider him a supporting actor, and he carried the show, a big chunk of it, he would be in this category. Along with any of the Mitchum brothers, or Tom Sizemore had moments, so did Matthew Lillard. And there are 7 nominations, so they didn't go with the traditional 5, and 3 of them are from The Assassination of Giovanni Ribisi. Gianni Versace, whatever. Finn Wittrock, Ricky Martin, and he was pretty good in it, I hear, and Edgar Ramirez. So Finn Wittrock, Ricky Martin, and Edgar Ramirez for The Assassination of Gianni Versace. John Leguizamo for Waco. Michael Stuhlbarg for The Looming Tower. Brandon Victor Dixon for Jesus Christ Superstar. And Jeff Daniels for Godless. So you had 7 nominations for supporting actor, so you can get 2 extra ones from The Assassination. And then, of course, outstanding limited series or movie. Wow, that would have been nice. I think if the Emmys would have watched the entire series, that they would have probably given it a few more nods. But I think 9's great. I think it's what Showtime needed to confirm that giving David Lynch and Mark Frost complete control is the way to go. I think the fact that Part 8 was the breadwinner for these Emmy nominations, and that was the one that probably cost the most money to make, that they'd be willing to do it again. I think it's all great news, and now we have to wait until the middle of September for the Emmys. Not sure if Twin Peaks winning any of them is going to make a difference, so I'm hoping in the next weeks or months to hear some sort of plan for another production by Showtime with David Lynch or Mark Frost, and hopefully both of them, and they're doing a season 4. That would be my dream. So that's it, the Emmy nominations for 2018. Hope you guys liked it. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 so you can watch me smoke more cigarettes, and tune in because we do a lot of best films of, and we're breaking down every year basically from 1976 to 2008, and then we'll be adding more later. You can check that out. I'm also going to be doing a breakdown of Twin Peaks The Return, a 1-year return. I've rewatched the entire series, in a binge-y kind of way instead of week to week like we had to do before. And I haven't really gotten too much more out of it, but I finally listened to the final dossier, and so I'm ready to throw a video together. So keep your eyes open for that. And thanks for watching. I'm Joe. This has been Twin Perspective, and I will see you in the trees. Bye.